Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Wisdom Wednesday for this week. So remember, with our Wisdom Wednesday, this is just a generalized spiritual discussion. And the topic is picked based on what energies we're currently working with. And then I just am able to bring through a technique or a tool that we can use in order to best utilize that energy. And so for today, we're talking about aligning with the divine plan. Now, before we get into that, remember, this is a spiritual discussion. So it's not just me, sitting here talking and giving the tools and the techniques. If there is a question that you have about the topic, feel free to ask that question. But remember, keep it in line with the topic. Hey Karen, thanks for joining, thanks for being here. Hey Nini, thanks for joining, thanks for being here. Hey Shirley, thanks for joining, thanks for being here. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, aligning with the divine plan. Now, before we jump fully into that topic, there's one thing we have to get really clear on. What is the divine plan? Now, there's a common misconception when it comes to the divine plan. Some people think that the divine plan means that you have to go build churches in Guatemala, or that you are giving up your life and, everything that you hold dear, everything you're excited about, everything that, you could possibly want. You're giving it all up and you're giving it over to the divine, and you're just going to do the divine's work. That is a very old paradigm of the divine plan. That is not what the divine plan is. The divine plan is really only for you to be happy and free. That is the divine plan. Nothing more, nothing less. And hey Sharon, hey Sarah, thanks for joining, thanks for being here. So with that, first, that's the old paradigm, that you have to just give up everything that you've ever wanted, everything that you could ever want, and just give your life over completely and just kind of be like, well, I have to sacrifice in order to have a happy life. No, that is not the divine plan. Like I said, the divine plan is for you to be happy and free. That is all the divine wants of you. Now, how do we begin that process of alignment? Here comes another common misconception, that the divine is going to put you somewhere where you don't belong or where you can't be of service. Okay, we have to remember, the divine knows you better than you know yourself, knows your skills, knows your talents, both hidden and obvious, knows your knowledge, knows your wisdom, and knows where you can be of best help, where you can be of best service. And it's not going to put you in a situation where, once again, you have to sacrifice anything that is real. Now, what does that mean? Sacrificing anything that's real? Well, the only thing we know that is real is love. That's the only thing that's real. And so anything that we love that is for our highest and best good is never going to be taken from us. That's not what the divine does, because the divine knows where you can be of best service, knows what you love, knows what is true to your heart, what's going to be best for you, and is going to put you in that place. But you have to be willing, and here comes our first big tool of the day. You have to be willing to give up your agenda. See, I know for me, for a very long time, I thought my whole life purpose was taking care of children. Like, that was my life purpose. I was really good at it. Kids love me. And I love talking to the parents. I love teaching. I love being interactive. Like, I love doing those things. And I thought, this is my life purpose. I'm exactly where I need to be. Well, that's true. I was exactly where I needed to be in order to be where I am now. See, because I had this agenda that I was just going to be a quote unquote lifer at KinderCare. I was just going to work there until I was like 65, 70 years old, have a 401k, and, just work there and just be the veteran. Everyone knows, good old Mr. Ron. And when I left there, for me, that was such a big blow to my ego. It was huge. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was depressed. I was in a hole. And it was like a 6 months of depression and anxiety and worry and not knowing what I was supposed to do. And the divine kept telling me, I'm telling you what to do. It's right in front of your face. I didn't want to listen. I thought I had to go get a quote unquote real job. And let me tell you, I applied. I applied at the bank that I bank at. I went to the interview. The lady loved me. She's like, oh my God, I would love to hire you right now on the spot. She's like, but I just have one more question. I said, okay, great. She goes, have you ever worked with money? And I said, no, unless you count play money, that's about it. And she was like, oh, you've never worked with money? And I said, no, ma'am, I haven't, unfortunately. She's like, and you would have been such a wonderful addition to our team. But she goes, unfortunately, since you don't have any experience with money, I can't necessarily just like hand you the job. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. If there's training I need to do, like, I'll do it. And she was like, we'll give you a call back, which basically was like, no. Then I went to go try and work at the New Age shop. And I was like, oh my God, for sure the New Age shop wants me. And nope, they didn't need me either. And then I went to go try another New Age shop. Nope, they didn't need me either. And then I went to go try, I think I went to go try to work at the dollar store. And I remember sitting there and I was filling out the application and I stopped and I started crying. And I was like, dear God, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't want to go work at the dollar store. I don't want to. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just didn't want to. That's not where I felt that I could be of most service. And the divine literally said, I've told you what it is. It's right in front of your face. Oh, hey, I am doing well. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are also doing well. And I remember just sitting there and just being like, I don't know. I can't make a living off of doing readings and mentorships and this and that. I can't do that. You can't do that. And I remember the divine being like, basically, build it and they will come. Do it and I'll show you. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I remember like launching and being like, okay, like I'm going to do this. And, people were coming to get readings. Money was flowing in. I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt fulfilled at KinderCare. Like, don't get me wrong. It was beautiful and I loved it. But I was getting this high off of like doing this kind of work, doing readings, doing mentorships and, online classes, recording courses. And I was loving it. Coming up with, being inspired with quotes and just being like, wow, like this is so crazy and amazing. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, the reason I was so unhappy was because I was still holding on to my agenda that I had to get a quote unquote real job. And that was, hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. And I was just like, wow, okay. So if I release my agenda, like all this beautiful stuff happens. And I'll give you another story and I'll never forget it. Marianne Williamson, she studied A Course in Miracles. She teaches A Course in Miracles. And she said that, as she was doing the course, she was like, I'm ready to be of service, guide me, use me, move me. And she thought that she was going to have to go build churches in Guatemala or like go feed the hungry, be Mother Teresa. And she said that, for her, she got the call to go to Los Angeles and just speak. And she was like, no, like I need to make a bigger impact. Like I need to go feed the hungry children. And, the divine's like, that's not where you're most useful. You have a gift and it's the gift of gab. And I want you to use it, over here to inspire, to help, to, bring solace, to bring hope. That's what I want. And that's how the divine, got her to be where she is. And that is really the divine plan for each of us. It doesn't mean that we're all going to be famous and we're going to be on TV and webcasts and this and that. But it does mean that you're going to be in a place where you can just be the truth of who you are. Well, thank you so much, Shirley. Thank you. And that's the beauty, is that you truly can align with the divine plan. All you have to do is let go of your agenda. And this is going to sound like the craziest part. And I know there's going to be people out there who are like, okay, whatever. You have to allow yourself to be happy. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Do you really believe, just like I did it, or like I didn't actually, do you really believe that the divine has nothing but your highest and best good? I didn't believe that at first. I was like, the divine's going to use me and then spit me out. That's what it's going to do. That's what I thought. I didn't know any better. That's really what I had been taught was, the divine will use you. And then, let's take Joan of Arc, for example. God's going to use you. And then he's like, I don't have any more use for you. Go burn on a cross, go burn to death, whatever the case was, just kind of throw you away. And that's not the divine. That's not the divine that I have come to know. That's a very old belief. That's a very old story, but that is not the truth. And so we have our first tool. Get rid of your agenda. Where are you saying that your life has to go? How are you dictating how your life has to go? What are you saying that you have to do in order to be provided for? Like, think about these questions. I'm not throwing them out there just to throw them out. I'm throwing them out there so you can catch them and you can write them down and you can come up with your own answers. You can ask yourself these questions and see what story is currently playing, what agenda is currently playing in your life where you say you have to do this or you have to do that, or this is what, the divine wants you to do in order, and that involves suffering. Does anything in your life right now involve you to sacrifice or suffer? And if it does, why? That's not the divine plan. The divine does not want you to suffer. It does not want you to sacrifice anything real. It does not. And so looking at that, asking yourself those pertinent questions. And you see me talking with my hands because I'm just so passionate about this. And when I get passionate about things, the French part of me comes out and I start, or the Italian or whatever the case may be, starts coming out and I start talking with my hands because I just get excited. So what's our next step to aligning with the divine plan? Well, our second step. So first step, let go of your agenda. Second step is be willing to ask. Okay, now you may say, oh, well, I ask all the time, God use me, move me in all ways today. Great, you're asking, but what's your real intent? This is our other big one. What is your true intention for asking? And just looking at that, asking yourself that question. As I ask this question, what am I really asking? I remember when I would ask that, at first, I wasn't asking God to, show me the way to, to happiness and freedom. I was like, basically I was asking the divine, tell me how to make my plan for what I want work. Tell me how to make it work. And that's where that old adage comes in. When man plans, God laughs. God's not laughing because he thinks you're stupid. God's not laughing because he's going to, basically try to flip your plan upside down. God is laughing. And if you don't like the word God, you can use the word divine or compassion. I'm just going to use the word God because that's what feels good for me. And I know that the word God for some people is a little meh because, sometimes being raised in a church, God kind of has a negative connotation. But like I said, I'm just talking about the universal force that imbibes all things with love and light, that imbibes all things with divine wisdom. The divine, the source of all that is. But like I said, I just use the word God. You can use whatever you desire. So we have to come back and say, okay, so what's my real intent here? And like I said, I was asking God how to make my plan work. God, guide me, use me, move me in all ways to make my plan work. God, guide me, use me, move me in all ways to make sure I get what I think I want. But to really say that with all your heart and the intention behind it to be fully open, that's another big key. Be open. Be flexible. Be adaptable to letting yourself be guided. Because this is another one we could say is be willing to trust. And let me tell you, I can speak from experience. That is one of that right there, that is the biggest opportunity any of us have for growth. Trusting in the divine. Trusting that the divine has nothing but the highest and best good for us. Because we may, in some aspects, believe that, but in other aspects, not. And that's okay, but we have to grow in trust. I actually saw this beautiful quote. I don't even remember where I saw it, but it basically says the universe isn't asking you to work harder. It's asking you to trust more. Like, whoa, mind blower, right? The universe isn't asking you to work harder. It's asking you to trust more. That's it. And that's going to lead us into our third one, which is you are not the doer. Let yourself be done through. This doesn't mean that you're not going to interact with the world. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be seeming to do something in the world. It just means stop trying to control it and dictate it. Allow yourself to truly be the paintbrush that the divine can use to paint a beautiful picture, instead of you trying to be the paintbrush and the artist at the same time. Let yourself be used. That's how we start aligning. We start letting go of our agenda. We start tuning into our true intent, and we really start allowing ourselves to be done for and done through. I was actually talking to a client yesterday, and we were talking about, what does it mean to be carefree and cared for? And, something in the course, I don't remember what page it is or where I read it, but it says, could you imagine what your life would be like free of anxiety, free of worry, free of the belief that you have to do anything? Like, can you imagine that? And, my client was like, no, I can't imagine. Like, I have to do things, because if I don't do them, then they're not going to get done and life just is going to fall apart. And we have to remember that, once again, it's not about your conscious doing. Doesn't mean that you won't change the kitty litter. Doesn't mean that you won't feed the dog. It doesn't mean that you won't cut the grass. It just means that you are not the one saying, this is what I have to do and how I have to do it. There's another great example. And the reason I have all these stories is because I practice what I preach. So that's why you'll always hear me tell a story, because I believe the stories are, storytellers are wisdom keepers, and their stories heal. Their stories can truly heal or enlighten or illuminate. And so that's why you always hear me, tell personal parables. Actually, in the Practical Mystic, in the workbook section, I actually called the section workbook and personal parables, because I'll give you tools, and then I type about my experience with the tool, or I'll type about an experience that I had, and just getting people to get engaged with that, because I'm not just sitting here talking about it. I do my best every day to live what I am saying, not just to talk about it. Because I can talk, we can all play lip service all day long, just like, God, use me, move me in all ways. Super easy. Okay, guide me, use me, move me in all ways. There's no intention behind that. It's just a bunch of words we're saying. We got to mean what we're saying. And that is, to be carefree and cared for is to trust fully that you are going to be told what to do, what to say, when to say it, how to say it, where to say it, and when to show up. And it's just about following what feels peaceful and compelling, following what makes you happy, following what brings you joy, following those things, and being joyful regardless of the circumstance. Regardless if you have what you think you want in that moment or not. That's another big key to aligning with the divine plan, is to be happy, to be joyful. And allowing yourself, once again, to be happy, to be joyful, because we don't realize how much we put ourselves down in that regards. We say, well, I can only be so happy. And maybe because we have the mindset or the story of, well, you can only be so happy before the other shoe drops. Or maybe we have the concept that, the divine will give you things and then it'll take them away because it's testing you. Oh, that was a big belief of mine for a long time. That the divine's going to give you a gift and, on a silver platter, hand it to you and be like, oh my God, here you go, everything you've ever asked for. And I'm going to take it away now. That was a really old belief of mine, a really old story. And so we don't realize how much we do that to ourselves. We don't realize how much that story runs until we become more aware, until we allow ourselves that awareness. And that's really what all spiritual practice is. All spiritual practice is not to make you not have bad things happen. It's to help you when those quote unquote bad things do happen. It's to help you through those tumultuous times. And that's the same thing aligning with the divine plan. Aligning with the divine plan means that you are aligning with hope, you are aligning with joy, and you are aligning with a force bigger, better, badder, more intelligent than yourself, than the self that you are currently embodying. That's okay. We have to know that's okay. And we have to be willing to have that trust, have that faith. And I know that, we hear about it all the time. And we could even talk about it all the time. But are we truly living it? That's another big question you have to ask yourself. Like, am I really living that? Or am I just playing lip service to it? Because if you're just playing lip service to it, then you're going to see that your life isn't happy. Once again, it's okay, but it is that acknowledgement. Hello, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. So that is, let's kind of review a little bit of our steps to aligning with the divine plan. First, letting go of our agenda. Second is being willing to trust. Third is looking at your intentions. Are you just speaking lip service or are you actually meaning what you're saying? Fourth, allowing yourself to be the conduit through which the divine plan flows. And that means giving up what? Giving up one of ego's biggest beliefs or biggest, we could say, walls, which is control. We want to control a lot of things and we don't realize how much control we want to have over things. And once again, that does not mean that you are just a little puppet. You have free will. You get to choose. I choose to allow myself to be like that puppet and to be moved where I'm going to be of most use. I mean, I can't tell you the places that, and you know what? Here is a great one. I remember I went to Walmart. It was actually 2 weeks ago. I went to a brand new Walmart. It's down here where I live now. And I went down there and, went to the cash register, was checking out. And I just felt like I needed to tell this lady that she was beautiful and she needed to go be a model. Once again, it's a weird thing to say to people, but that's what I felt. And so, I kind of waited till she got all my groceries checked in and stuff. And as she did, and, I paid, I said, I'm an intuitive. And I said, I have a vibe. Would you like to hear it? Which is just spiritual etiquette, just being kind to people because not everyone's into it, which is fine. And so she's like, okay. And I said, you are beautiful. Why are you not modeling? I said, you need to I don't know if you have a lookbook or if you're getting one together, but you need to do that because you're stunning. You're beautiful. And she, turned super red in the face and she was like, wow. She's like, thank you so much. And she goes, actually, it's really funny that you say that because I've been looking into it, but I just didn't believe that I could do it. I didn't believe I was pretty enough or good enough or skinny enough. And I said, here's your confirmation. Go start looking into modeling. That's it. That's all I did. I just showed up at Walmart, once again, saying my prayer and meaning it, What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? I am only here to be truly helpful. I don't have to know what to say. I don't have to know what to do. I just know that I will be led. That's it. And then going in and giving this person confirmation of, yeah, go pursue modeling, like go get started. And, I haven't been to Walmart yet this week, but if I do go back, I'm going to see if she, if she's still there. If she is, great, wonderful. I'll see what the update is, if there is one. But that's it. Like, once again, just at the grocery store, you can do it. And you all know the story of the doctor's office, that I went to. You can find that out. I've told that story before. But there's just been so many times when I've just allowed myself to just kind of be like, I'm not in control. Consider also when I do channeling. Channeling is completely out of my control. It's just something that comes on and I just allow it. Before I would fight it and I would kind of get like a garbled message where it would be kind of the Palladians, but also kind of me. And before I was just like, oh God, it's too hard to do that. Just let them speak. And there we go. And then it comes through and it's crystal clear and wonderful and fantastic. And people get exactly what they need. But that's it. Show up. That's all you have to do. Show up where you are told to show up. Show up in your own life. That's aligning with the divine plan, is showing up as the truth of who you are, not a mask. I wasn't going in there being like, well, I'm an intuitive and I need to do readings for everybody. I was like, I'm here to buy milk, eggs, whatever else I needed. That's what I'm here to do. And I am simply allowing myself to be used. And that's how the divine wanted to use me, because guess what? I have the gift of gab. It's not because I'm psychic. It's not because I'm intuitive, because guess what? Everyone is. Everyone is psychic. Everyone is intuitive. I'm not special for being able to do what I do, because you all can do what I do. You may be even able to get even deeper insights or more insights or a different viewpoint on insights that I could never get. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the divine plan, is because each person is integral to it. Each person is integral to the divine plan. All you have to do is show up. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you have to be famous. It doesn't mean that you have to go out into the world and do 50 different things. That's not what it is. It's letting the divine use the gifts that it gave you to be of best service to all, for all, which includes you. Sometimes I say things on, these lives where I'm just mind blown that it came out of my mouth. I'm like, wow, like I said that? That came out of me? And then it came out of you, but it was not of you. And that's another big key, is know that the gifts that you have are not yours. It's like they're on loan from the divine. And it's not that you can't necessarily be like, yeah, this is a talent that I possess, but know that it is not of you. If that makes sense. Like, that's the best way I can put it. It is not of you. Yes, being of service. But that's it. It's just those gifts. So really looking at, what gifts do I have that could be of service? Even if it's not, I never thought being able to just talk was a talent. I didn't think that was a talent. Singing, I was like, okay, that's a talent. But talking, that's not a talent. But it is. It's a talent that the divine wishes for me to use. So what talents do you have that the divine can use, that it already gave you and it wants to implement them? But you have to just be willing to trust, release control, release your agenda, and be willing to be done for and be done through, to be carefree and cared for like you were when you were a child. You knew intrinsically, wherever you were as that young child, that you were protected. You didn't quite know how. Maybe you had parents. Maybe you didn't. Maybe it was grandparents, guardians, brothers, sisters. Somewhere intrinsically, you just had this carefree attitude because you're like, someone's going to take care of me. I don't know who's going to take care, but someone's going to take care of me. And guess what? You were taken care of. So What we've talked about today are just some of the small steps that we can begin to take towards aligning with the divine plan. I know some of these steps are super scary because it involves you releasing control. It involves you trusting more. It involves you being done for and done through. It involves you kind of stepping back and allowing yourself to be used. It involves you maybe showing up in a way that you've never shown up for before or never thought was that you could. I never thought that I would be sitting in front of a phone screen, doing a live, talking about spiritual stuff. It's not something I thought was possible, but here I am, and I'm doing it. So, yeah, that is today's live, and I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being here. If you are interested in more content like this, of course, you can go visit my YouTube channel, which is pinned in, or not pinned, but it's in the description of the video. And you can also go find out more information about me, my services. You can also look at some free online learning that I have at my website, which is awakeningmiracles.org, which is also in the description of the video. And you can just go to like online learning where I have my courses that I've recorded, and you can just watch them, whenever you want and kind of go through them. Then I have my 5 days of guidance where I kind of talk about, different ways in which we can get guidance in a live platform like this that's already recorded. And then I have my intuitive tips. I have my blogs. I just have a lot of free information. And then, of course, you can always go check out my YouTube channel where I also have tons of vlogs and blogs and other content, that I post. So once again, I thank you all for joining me. I thank you all for being here. And I thank you for beginning this process of aligning with the divine plan, the plan that the divine has for you to be of not only most service, but remember, the divine plan is about your happiness. So I thank you for aligning with happiness. I thank you for aligning with joy. And I thank you for being that beacon of light in the world. Because every time you align with that aspect of the divine plan, you're giving other people permission to do the same. You are inspiring others to do so as well.